Hello everyone, welcome to another Vintage Masters Draft with me, Etram. And, well, there's a lot of red and white in this pack. We have a Critter Helion, Goblin Trenches, Goblin War Chief, Afterlife, Battle Screech, Chartreuse Cougar, Exile. Holy cow. If you take this, someone's going to pick up this Goblin Trenches and think that white's open. If you take this, someone's going to pick up either of these two and think either of these two colors are open. If you pick up this someone's going to be like, oh, goblins, I can jump into red. This pack is... Alright. Well, the easiest pick is probably the Battle Screech, though, because Battle Screech is just one hell of a common. Just wipes out everyone, basically. It's just insane. So, Battle Screech is my pick. Let's see what we got here. Spirit Mirror. Gain your upkeep if there are no reflection tokens. Put one reflection token on the battlefield. Then you can destroy a reflection. That seems interesting. I don't really think I want it per se. I like Stoic Champion. He's pretty good if you can get a cycling deck going. Other options are to jump into another color. I could do like white blue. I'm not a huge fan of white green. It's an all-in strategy in this format. White blue can be a little more controlling, but I'm gonna take the Stoic Champion. Okay, I can grab either a Benevolent Bodyguard or I could do white green with the Arrogant Worm. Arrogant Worm is a very solid pickup. Let's see what our other options are here. We have Kravickian Sorcerer, not really. Obsessive Search is fine. Benevolent Bodyguard's probably the pickup though, because it just allows you to stay in one color for as long as possible. So I'm going to take the Benevolent Bodyguard. Okay, I can pick up a Sultari Trooper to keep it in my one color. You'll notice that the white's being to filter out, so someone else might be in white, but if they didn't pick up a Sultari Trooper, chances are they're not heavily in white. So I'm going to take the Sultari Trooper. Okay, I can pick up either Terra's Faithful, who's perfectly good in the cycling deck, or I could pick up a Cycler. I like Terra's Faithful a lot, but I think I'm going to pick up a Cycler. If I'm going to play Stoic Champion, I want to get a number of cycling cards going, and it'll help me get that process moving. Well, so far we've got 4 reasonable picks. Benevolent Bodyguard is a pain in the ass to deal with. It's good to have, it's a pain in the ass to deal with. Battle Screech is amazing, and the rest of these cards are pretty good. Stoic Champion can be very good. Sultari Trooper is perfectly fine. Right now it looks like we're getting stalled up in this grouping here. They're moving still, it's just getting stalled up. Okay, Deep Analysis. I'm a huge fan of Deep Analysis. White blue with an aggressive twinge? I don't necessarily think that would work super well. I think I'm gonna play it safe, continue to play it safe, and just take this Sultari Emissary. Deep Analysis coming around at pick. This is 6 for me. That could be a sign, though. I think I'm just gonna take the Emissary, though. Emissary is just solid, and then I can pick up another Trooper. And I can just have infinite little shadow guys with Battle Screech as a finisher. I guess we're playing a white aggro deck. I mean, as long as you're fully on aggro instead of just partially on aggro, it is a perfectly reasonable strategy. If you're... the strategy I hate the most is Boggles. I will do Boggles, but I hate the strategy. I don't like the all-in strategies. I prefer the strategies where you have the option of having multiple outs. If you boggle up and then your guy dies, you're just screwed. Anyways, from this pack, looks like there's some black that's still open. Blue might be still open, but Seclude Steps my pickup here. Helps with my Stoic Champion. Okay. From this, I think I'm going to take Ophidian. I don't always play Ophidian, but Ophidian is pretty decent, so I'm going to take it. The Spirit Mirror thing came back again. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you don't have a guy, you make a guy. And then you can destroy a guy. Huh. I don't get why you'd want that card, really and truly. Just, I think I'm going to take an Aquamoeba over it. It just doesn't strike me as an amazing card. Alright, so we're going white-blue with an Aggro Twinge by the looks of it, and we have a lot of cycling lands. So our Stoic Champion should end up generally pretty big, and he can be pumped just for like white or blue. So far so good. Yeah, so far so good. Sky Shroud Forest can probably end up in the sideboard, as this Herbal Grazing can just end up in the beyond sideboard zone. There's your sideboard, and then there's your I never want to see these cards again zone. That's where that belongs. And the never want to see these cards again zone. Okay, this is interesting. Berserk can be very powerful, but I'm thinking I like the Astral Slide here. Though I don't necessarily have a lot of Enter the Battlefield effects yet, I can always pick up I can always pick up Enter the Battlefield effects. This is only the first pick in pack 2. B, I already have 4 Cycling Lambs, so just a little bit of effort, and I can have a aggro deck with a cycling something. Astral Slide can also just get rid of your opponent's blockers for you, which can also be just equally as good. Okay, I have the choice here between Akroma's Blessing, Deep Analysis, and Noble Templar. Deep Analysis is a very good card. Very good card. Makes so you just don't run out of tempo. Akroma's Blessing cycles, which is the first benefit of it, and it can also act as a falter effect. I'm going to take the Akroma's Blessing, but I don't like having to pass the Deep Analysis. Whoa, I could take Future Sight. Wow. Well, I could take Banal Striper or Imperial Armor. I've never really played Imperial Armor before. Again, it's one of those more boggle strategy cards. And since you really don't have like hexproof or anything in this, if your opponent even plays like a Banal Trapper, your boggles get screwed over hard. Speaking of which, Banal Trapper, pretty darn good. Another Deep Analysis though. Future Sight, Deep Analysis, Imperial Armor, Banalis Trapper. There's a Noble Templar and a Lonely Sandbar. As it stands, I think I'm going to grab the Deep Analysis. If this wheels, which there's a chance because it's triple blue, I'll pick it up at that point. Okay, I can grab another Cycler that's also removal. I could grab a Plain Cycler, which is nice. Or I could grab a Madness card, which is perfectly fine because this one is draw a card or draw a card no matter what. So, I think I'm going to take the Radiant Judgment, though. Alright, so my options here are Breath of Life, which I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. Another Choking Tethers. Or Gust Cloak Harrier. I could also grab a Seal of Cleansing for the sideboard, but I'm going to grab the Gust Cloak Harrier to help boost my white creatures for the purposes of Battle Screech. A Taros Faithful. That's a perfect pickup. Helps with the Astral Slide to continue to gain you life as the game goes on, which can be very helpful. And is a perfectly reasonable pickup for me. Kenai Haven, another Cycler. So right now we have a lot of Cyclers. We're going to be looking for some more powerful effects. Okay, well, this is interesting. I can pick up an Afterlife, which is good removal. I could pick up another Cycler. I could pick up another Blue Cycler. Or I could pick up a second Benevolent Bodyguard. As it stands, actually, with I think I'm going to grab another Radiant Judgment. I like the ability to destroy my opponent's big creatures. I also like the ability to cycle it to blink out my own guys and get enter battlefield effects. Stuff like that. Alright, here I'm going to pick up a Lonely Sandbar. I have the choice of Lonely Sandbar, Rescind, or Counterspell. I'm not necessarily huge on going in on the multiple blue symbols right now. If I see the future sight, though, I will take that as a go-ahead, and I will start picking up lots of blue cards. I don't expect to see the future sight, and I don't even know which pack it was in. It was either this one or the next one. Point being, didn't take the future sight. Probably not going to use it. So, we'll grab and toss that in the sideboard. Okay. Another cycle land. I have infinite cycle lands here. Seal Cleansing for the side is perfectly fine. But yeah, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cycle lands. Holy cow, that's a lot of cycle lands. In our next pack, we'd be looking to see another Battle Screech, maybe. Something else that's just insanely powerful. I have multiple Seal of Cleansing in my sideboard now, so hopefully my opponent's not trying to rely on enchantments, otherwise I can just go, ha ha ha, gotcha. I don't know if I'll play Ophidian or not. We'll see what happens. Probably not, but can be a playable card in the right deck. Right now, we are stuck waiting at Negata 5543. Who will then pass a card to Mammon, who's then going to pass to T-Bruce, who's then going to pass to me. So, pass. Pass, pass. Okay. Temporal Fissures. I'm not in Storm. I'm definitely not in that kind of Storm. So, and then we'll apparently get a last, or one. Was that the only option? That's weird. I guess I'll get a one before, okay, I'll get a last Forgotten Cave, which is interesting. Icarid, Death Scratch, ooh, Gush. I'm a huge fan of Gush. Gush is probably one of my favorite uncommons in this. There's a lot you can do with being able to draw 2 cards at instant speed and not have to pay mana for it. Gush can just be huge. Sidar would actually be reasonable in my deck here, but Gush is just nuts, so I'm going to take the Gush. Okay, I can pick up a second Astral Slide, so I may just be like using Astral Slide to blink out opponent's stuff, which is perfectly reasonable. Okay, I get the choice here. Either Serendib Efreet, or I can pick up another Soltari Emissary. I'm actually favoring the Soltari Emissary right now. The reasoning behind this is because I'd like to have unstoppable clocks versus my opponents. And having 4 Shadow guys will pretty much guarantee that I should hit 1 every game, at the very bare minimum. And having a clock that's hard to stop while being able to Astral Slide out what they have seems like what I want to be doing. Okay, I can pick up a Cloud of Fairies as a cycler. I can pick up a Lonely Sandbar as a 7th cycle land. Dear me. Or I could pick up a Phantom Nomad. In this case, I'm favoring the Cloud of Fairies because either it's a 1/1 flyer for free, or it's a cycler. I like the variability on that, so I'm going to take the Cloud of Fairies. For the purpose of counting how many cards I have 6 lands. So right now we have 21 playables. We definitely have to find a few in the remainder of this pack. There's still plenty more cards in this pack, 11 more picks. We should be perfectly fine, though. We just gotta see what options there are. So far, so good, though. I actually like this deck. It seems to be coming together pretty well. Alright. choices here are between a Circular Logic, which actually I don't mind. I actually really do like a Circular Logic, or Phantom Nomad, or another Ophidian. Since I'm already debating whether or not to play the first Ophidian, I'm going to cross the Ophidian off the list. Then the choice comes to Phantom Nomad or Circular Logic. Having a 1 of counterspell can be pretty dang good. I do like the option. Alright, I'm going to pick up a Devout Witness and actually probably mainboard this thing, because it gives me a way to discard Circular Logic, technically. Whether or not I use it for that effect is a different story. But it also just gives me more variability in what my deck can handle. Alright, so here I have the choice: another Cloud of Fairies, another Deep Analysis, another Radiance Judgment, or another Sultari Emissary. So 1 of 4 cards. I have at least 1 of each. I have 2 Radiance Judgments, I have 2 Sultari Emissaries, I have 1 Cloud of Fairies, and I have 1 Deep Analysis. With Deep Analysis being up towards the top of my curve, I'm not necessarily certain that I want a second Deep Analysis, but Deep Analysis is, again, extremely powerful. Sultari Emissary being much lower in my curve, I think I'm going to take it. It's, again, hard to block guy, and I also ran out of time to finish explaining. But the point being is, hard to block, really solid guy. So now I get the choice between a Counterspell and a Mist Moon Griffin. I'm going to take a regular Counterspell over the Mist Moon Griffin. My reasoning for this is, even though I'm not necessarily a fan of the double blue in this deck, I think having the Counterspell will come in handier later game versus earlier game. I don't expect to cast down like turn 2 or 3. I'd expect to cast down turn 5 or 6. So I think having the Counterspell, though, is perfectly reasonable. Okay, I get to pick up a Sidar Jabari here. My other option is a Scrivener or another Benevolent Bodyguard. But I'm going to pick up Sidar Jabari because he'll help me towards finishing off my opponents. He'll be able to tap down large things and allow all my little guys to continue getting through. So we're going to take Sidar here. Okay, I get to pick up another Seclude Step, which I am perfectly fine with. And a Repel. Alright. And a Killer Web. And no. And nope. And definitely no. That just goes way the hell over there. No, so far over there I don't want to see the darn thing. Like, over there. Okay, so as it stands, I'm going to have to make some cuts. I have 7 cycle lands, so I have 28 cards in the deck. That means I need to cut 5. Or actually, well, I can probably only cut 4 if I wanted to. This deck looks like it could run slightly land light if I wanted it to, which I think I'm going to. Especially with all the cycle lands and everything. Actually I think that works backwards in my favor. Or against me. Point being, I think I'm going to run 1 land light, so we're going to make some cuts here. I'm actually going to keep this Ophidian in this deck, because I think it's perfectly fine for me. Devout Witness, I like the ability to have it. It does give me an answer, so I'm probably actually going to keep it. Choking Tethers is actually not bad in this deck. Most of this stuff is pretty dang good. Having the 5 Shadow guys at 2 is very solid. Maybe it's one of these 2 counter spells. Circular Logic's really only going to be useful late game or off of Aquamoeba / Devout Witness. And even then, you're not really wanting to necessarily do it off Devout Witness. You're only really wanting to do it off Aquamoeba. I think Circular Logic and Aquamoeba for starters. For the purposes of numbers, we're just going to shift those up there. So I need to cut 2 more cards still. How many cyclers do I end up with? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's actually not bad. I'm going to cut Benevolent Bodyguard because as good as it is, it's not what my deck's wanting. And then I'm also going to cut... I actually like Killer Whales a solid top end. So I'm going to cut... Did I include Kenai even in my count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus 7. Oh, so I missed out on 2 things. I missed out on both Kenai even and a Chroma's Blessing in my Cycler count. Anyways, I want to cut one more card. I think it might just be Repel, but Repel can be a very good tempo play. It's probably actually just Choking Tethers. I think I'm playing Choking Tethers. Choking Tethers is fine, but it's not necessarily a great card. So we're going to cut it. And then we're going to look at this and it's going to say 5 and 4. And we're going to be like, wow, that's barely any land. But then you think about the fact that I also have 7 lands here. Pretty solid. I got 16 lands, 14 creatures. Let's do a quick split for the purposes of analysis. So sorted by CMC. I don't have any 1-drops anymore. So that's unfortunate, but that's life. When we take all the non-creature spells and bring them down, we've got Astral Slides, Radiance Judgment. Chroma's Blessing comes down here. Just stick it down there for now. Repel, Deep Analysis. Battle Screech I leave up here because Battle Screech is really just a creature spell. For the most part, it's basically just a creature spell. So here's my non-land effects, or non-land spells. So, or non-creature spells, sorry. So there's 10 of them. There's Counterspell, 2 Radiance Judgments, 2 Astral Slides, a Chroma's Blessing, Repel, Deep Analysis, Gush. So that's 3, 5, or 3, wait, I'm missing one. Oh, right, Battle Screech. It's 9 plus technically Battle Screech I left up here, so that's 10. And then for my creatures, I have triple Sultari Emissary, actually. Double Sultari Trooper, so I got lots of Shadow guys. I have a Stoic Champion who can just go nuts. I have a Cloud of Fairies, which is a Cycler. I have Devout Witness, which gives me answers to... I doubt anyone else is in Astral Slide, because I ended up with 2 Astral Slides, but I guess it's always possible. It's also an answer to Boggly decks. But, anyways, we have Gust Cloak Harry, who's just another little white flyer. Ophidian, which could draw some cards, which would be nice. Sidar Jabari, he's alright. Taros Faithful works nicely with my cycling, gives me an enter the battlefield effect to abuse, so that's always cool. Battle Screech, nothing needs to be said there. Kenai is perfectly fine as a 2-3, but the main point of it is the cycling. And then Killer Whale's just there, just in case you need another little extra push to win. So we're going to submit this, and I will see you all in round 1.